Escape to the metaverse. Better act like you know, yeah. You are now tuned into the Matthew and Rizzle show, yeah. Escape to the metaverse. Better act like you know, yeah. You are now tuned into the Matthew and Rizzle show, yeah. Escape to the metaverse. Better act like you know, yeah. You are now tuned into the Matthew and Rizzle show, yeah. Escape to the metaverse. Better act like you know, yeah. You are now tuned into the Matthew and Rizzle show, yeah.
Yo, yo, yo.
Good morning.
Dude, what's up? This is, what has this been, like 3 weeks since we last recorded?
Yeah, like a lifetime. I've missed you, man. How have you been?
I missed you too, bro.
Good shit, dude. How you been?
Been over in Korea on vacation. Just got back in the saddle earlier this week. So I was touching a bunch of sand and grass and waves with the family, basically stuffing my face with some amazing. First, we went down to the coast and the ocean in Busan. So had a ton of seafood, ton of barbecue. Just been enjoying things, actually, as the world burns around us. When I checked in onto the global news, it's like, holy shit, another world-changing historic event, one after the other. It's kind of wild to just be on vacation during all that.
Dude, I feel like I've sort of hit this like weird point as well where I'm like just more at peace with things in general and the space and my position in the space than I ever have been as the world seems like more chaotic than ever. I'm actually like really I'm always excited to hear what Showa has to say, but particularly with this like climate going on around crypto and the news cycle and everything. Stoked to hear what Show's got to say tomorrow.
Yeah, no, I saw a few folks talking about that on the timelines. Like, oh my god, like, what is Show going to talk about? There's just like too much to even think about, like what he's going to be talking about. It's just like the ETF launch yesterday for ETH. It's like, all right, it was like barely a blip on the radar amongst the other like global news that's been happening. It's crazy, man. It's absolutely insane to see. But like I'm in the same place. It's like being in crypto for so long. It's almost like we're numb to like all this craziness, while everyone else is losing their mind for like this is kind of, I don't know, old hat to us.
Yeah, like been on this crazy roller coaster for so long, man. I feel like it's hard to shake me too much at this point. Thinking back, man, I've been involved in crypto since like 2012 and have had like a couple scenarios due to market circumstances where I personally felt like the world was burning down around me due to like, not handling crypto situations properly and missing opportunities and like this, that, and the other. And so, yeah, man, over like a lot of time, I feel like, what are you really going to throw at me that is more difficult to deal with than the shit that we've had to deal with from the beginning here? So, yeah, man, it's good, dude. I've had a great summer, man. I made a very conscious effort to cut back on pretty much everything that to just relax and touch grass and focus more time and everything. And so I've been keeping up with the podcast, obviously the WIP, and really just heads down planning Rizzlefest stuff coming up in October, which is starting to gain momentum as people are starting to resurface, which is really exciting to see and everything. But it's been good, man. And I feel like, there's a common consensus too, man. I've talked to a lot of people who are interested in doing things, collabing, with me, and have a lot of conversations going of cool stuff that I sort of got in the back burner, but I like this vibe that you and I have talked about before, where everyone's just like, you know what? Let's just like, we'll ramp up in the fall, man. Let's not like make ourselves crazy and, take one thing at a time. And everyone who hasn't gone anywhere pretty much knows who is around and going to stick around. And so I don't know, man, there's a lot less like sense of urgency than I used to feel, where like, at any moment, everything and everyone could disappear, and it could just be you and I left here. But it really doesn't feel like that anymore, and it's been great, man. The Rizzlefest crowd is starting to round out, and it's a bunch of like-minded people thus far who have been around for a long time and can probably identify with a lot of what we're talking about. So it'll be good to like circle the wagons again, kind of like we were able to do out in Lisbon, kind of like we've been able to do in NFT NYC, like we did in Rizzlefest last year, and kick it with a bunch of people who know their shit and have seen this type of stuff before.
Yeah, Rizzlefest is shaping up to be a banger. Like last week at the WIP, there's a few bits of alpha that were dropped. I think Brookhawk was talking about sponsoring the basketball tournament and stickers, Taka stickers for that. Fly Frogs doubled down, was like, yo, bringing a whole bunch of toys, Fly Frog toys, physicals to Rizzlefest. I'm like, oh man, this is it's getting serious. It's like each of the events that we had last year, it feels like people are just like, again, making it more professional, like adding layers and details and just like a whole bunch of good stuff on top of it. So it's for folks that were there last year, it was really fun. But now I'm like, holy shit, it's about to level up. So one ratchet up on the FOMO scale for me. For Rizzlefest.
Yeah, man. Last year was sort of like an adventure for everybody, including myself, because I don't think anyone really knew like exactly what to expect or how things were going to shake out once like, sort of the rubber met the road kind of thing. But now, and we toyed it with having it in a different location to, allow different people to come, international and everything. But the advantage of going back to the same place is, one, the camp is dope. And we've got the whole place to ourselves, but also it's allowing us to plan a little bit better this time around. So yeah, man, Brookhawk's basketball tournament is coming back. He's putting it on again, and I saw Mishlet, Trizlet's wife, already talking smack on Twitter about it, which is great to see. She like buried the winning jump shot last year in Trizlet's face. So that kind of stuff, man, is exciting. Easy was in the WIP last week talking about sharpening his throwing knives for we're gonna level up his throwing knife session if Easy's able to make it. And dude, I don't know if you saw this morning, man. Just an hour or so ago, I announced that Paradox is coming as well. He's gonna be doing some videography. Yeah, man. So the WIP fam is mounting up and gonna have a heavy presence at Rizzlefest, which is awesome, man. I was in DMs with Paradox and just excited that he's coming, and was telling him the people who are coming already, and who said they're coming but just hasn't gotten a ticket yet. And he was just like, dude, even if it was just these people who have already committed, like that's enough. And I was like, dude, that's basically what I said last year. It got to a point, and a bunch of other people ended up piling on. But once we had hit between like 15, 20, like solid attendees, all of who are like fam, basically, is like, dude, anything else is bonus round. Now it's just like this dope, like camping retreat that's sort of like it's like a sort of for us, by us kind of thing. Nobody's getting rich off this thing at all. But to be able to organize this, cover our costs, bring a whole bunch of, create a thing that this type of crowd is actually motivated to go to, man. That's what we talked about before with like the cyber brokers thing at NFT NYC and Coldie's karaoke event, man. It's difficult to do, and there's always this thing, and I'm sure they've felt it too, and I have, where you set up the framework for it and you're like, okay, I want to do that. Is anyone going to come and do that with me? Like, let's hope so. But it's happening, man, and it feels good, dude. I mean, these are the people that I feel like I literally like grew up with in a lot of ways in my like second adult life that I'm sort of in the middle of right now, and it's dope, man. It's shaping up to be a nice family reunion.
Yeah, and just like on that same line of just like doing cool stuff, like no one's getting rich, but we're all having fun doing these things together, and we're going to keep doing things like that together. The WIP this week, I'm super, super excited for. We have JOYWORLD coming through, turning the WIP from pink to bright banana yellow. going to be doing some live VR sculpting with us, taking feedback from the WIP fam, Q&A live with us. Really, really looking forward to that. We're going to have a bunch of their Joy toys populating Ground Zero and Hyperfy. Also have Jake coming through with base colors, a cool little project that's been popping off, getting a whole bunch of interest over on base. So it's just like, damn, I can't wait for tomorrow. Like I was already talking to Joy on the phone yesterday. I was like, holy shit, this is gonna be so fun, man. So yeah, just grinning ear to ear, even thinking about it right now.
Dude, you gotta love Joy, man. I met him once. I was trying to think of when, man. It was actually at that first VCon that I spoke at, and I ran into Joy. And the only reason I remembered it is because he gave me a sticker, and I had like poison ivy all over my hand or something, and I had to do like an on-camera thing with Dan Sickles for the documentary he was reporting. So I took Joy's big ass sticker and slapped it on my hand for the for the photo shoot or whatever, or for the videography stuff with Dan. So I didn't like have some grotesque, looking thing on my arm or whatever. So if that ever comes out, I'm flexing a big Joy sticker over my poison ivy on that video. But dude, Joy's like one of these people, man. Like here from early on, and never really did anything beyond what spoke to him. Or I mean, maybe he has, man. But I guess I'm trying to say like, you got to appreciate his like authenticity and like his passion for doing what he does. And he's really just stuck to his guns, through and through. And I haven't had like a lot of interactions with him since then. But we like knew who each other were before we had met, man. And like I said, ran into him at VCon, and just the fucking nicest dude, man. He just like radiates such like positive energy. And he's, a true artist creator here for that. And was so out in front and early on with all the 3D sculpting shit, like early on. I mean, you could probably count the number of people who were interested in that on like, one hand, when he was doing it. So, or at least I could. So I don't know, man. It's cool. I don't know if we've ever had him on the WIP actually. Like he's one of these people that's sort of like always orbited our circle, but I don't know if you've ever like pulled him in.
No, we did.
Did we?
And I had totally forgot
a million
about it.
years ago.
At the end of 2020, we had him on, and like the only reason I found this out is 'cause yesterday I was like, "Yo, shoot me your Discord. I don't have your Discord." Shot it to me. I'm like, "What? We're mutual." And I'm like, "What? 2020 December?" And he's like, "Oh yeah." I was like, "All right." I mean, this is how long the WIP's been going on. Like, you forget the kind of legends that we've had on throughout the years. But yeah, he's always just been authentically Joy himself. Like he's the coolest guy. I had the good fortune of like living in Portland with him, so we've been meeting up pretty frequently. And he has a studio downtown that we've been hanging out at and bringing folks like Pop Wonder and Wooden Cyclops and a bunch of other legends locally through. It's been awesome, really, to get to know him. But like you were saying, he's been so early on chain, but then also he was calling for like sovereign artist smart contracts from like the jump. Like
he might have been the first. He
was the first. He was the first artist in the Ethereum ecosystem, if not like all of digital art, calling for that and just making that a very, very strong focal point and focus of him and his practice. So yeah, it's cool to have him back and to see that he's still doing his thing and still innovating and charting new territory in the virtual space. So it's very, very cool.
No, dude is a thought leader, man. And these are like the type of people that, I feel so good about like giving flowers to and having them on the WIP and like showing them off, because that's been our mantra, man. Fly Frogs last week, just crushing it, man, in that same like thought leader sort of vibe and everything. And again, man, you think about like Joy was breaking new ground, like we were just saying, so early on, and he's one of these people, man. Like Joy should be in the limelight, right? Like, and not to say that he hasn't like done well or like gotten some accolades and everything, but I'm like, when you think of like the early creators in this space who like really laid the groundwork for shit and everything, and like, you know, who, you know, sort of earned, in my opinion, you know, the right to be pushed into the front and you know, be a voice for, you know, the authentic community and everything. And a lot of those people sort of got brushed to the side. And again, not saying that really happened to Joy, but you know, I was like pulling up Joy's stuff to like stalk him a little bit. You got to send me those 3D assets so we can throw them around in world and everything. But I'm like, dude, Joy's like, you know, not that everything is measured with like social media followers or anything, but I'm like, dude is a fucking thought leader, man. He should have like 130,000 followers, not like 13,000 followers or like whatever it is. So I don't know, man. It honestly, I feel like that sort of thought process on my end has sort of like given the WIP a very meaningful purpose over the past like several years, where like not a lot of people do our job, man, where we're like truly trying to find like the innovators and the thought leaders, and this is a showcase for them. And I feel like that job has become more and more important over the years as the space has been filled with so much peripheral stuff. And and I don't know, man, it feels good, man. And to scratch at what you were saying before, man, going back through these archives and the YouTube clips that Paradox has sent me and slowly getting them up there, going through the same type of thing, man. I'm like, oh shit, man, we had all these people on, you know, so early on that, you know, years ago now. It's easy, and we, you know, we do it at a weekly clip, so it's easy to lose track. Because I'm assuming you're like me, man. As soon as one WIP ends, there's only 6 days to focus on the next one. So, you know, one's done and you're already on to the next, and you know, repeat.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like we do this so often where like the legendary shows, it's like there and then it's gone because you got to prepare for the next one. But it's really cool to be able to take stock. And like when I flew into Seoul, I have a totally different computer setup over here, and this is where like all the old WIPs were like where they took place and were saved and screenshot at. So I was going through those archives and I was just like, oh my God, man, just like looking at again, like projects that are in the news recently. So Snowfro minting out the last squiggle and the people squiggle that, of course I signed it. Yeah. You signed it too, right?
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Like, and now that's like mutually owned by all of us. That's such a cool, masterful kind of way to close out the minting smart contract before sending the last squiggle over to LACMA. But going back to 2020 in October, it was just like, holy shit, this screenshot's there. Like, and oh my God. Like, and he was one of, like, that was an Axie Infinity sponsored WIP too. So, and there were like 4 other legends that preceded him before he was speaking that day. And then like Shane Copland from Polymarket, like early in 2020 had on, and like Polymarket is just, with this most recent elections, exploded onto like mainstream awareness and attention. And it's just like, we do this so often that it's just like you gotta kind of go back in the archives to really remember this, and then when you do go back to, you're like, holy fucking shit. But again, because we get and we focus on all the latest and like newest projects, sometimes it takes a while for projects to cook before other people like really pay attention to them. But again, trying to pat ourselves in the back, I feel like we do a really important service by at least having them on early, giving people in our circle, the WIP fam, that kind of like early taste and glimpse, and just serve as that litmus test to see how folks vibe with it, and kick the tires and see what works, what doesn't, and hopefully give some suggestions that are helpful down the line, if not immediately.
It is crazy, like the shift in the WIP over the years, man, because especially early on, man, we were like the only thing out there, and we were like straight up putting people on the map. Like at that point, like, people would hop on the WIP in order to get on people's radars and get on the map. And now, obviously everything has changed in the sense that like, there's a lot of vehicles and ways for people to do that. But that was like, is still the mantra at the time. They were still like early progressive projects. And now we sort of have dialed back the number of speakers each week to do a deeper dive and everything, which I think has been a nice transition. Versus like I think we had like a 5 or 10 minute like hard stop on like speaker updates back in the day, and it was very heavily speaker focused. Yeah. Where now we do like more immersive stuff, but man, the lineups we had, man, like you said, it was like Axie Infinity sponsored WIP, where we were minting testnet chromie squiggles and fucking somewhat can take at least partial responsibility for putting art blocks on the radar for people. But weekly, I don't. It's nuts, man, to really think back on it. Oh, dude, and if you are digging through your stuff, man, and you happen to have clips that would be good to throw on YouTube between like 2020 and like mid 2021, that was like the time period where Paradox was sort of floating in and out. He had like other stuff going on, so he would like record some stuff here and there, and so there's some gaps in the YouTube archives that I would love to fill in from that specific time period. So if you have anything, or just dump them in a Google Drive, man, and send them my way. Maybe we can make a montage if they're just clips, because I'm like, this is the type of stuff, man, that like, is easily forgotten about in this space too, because everything moves so fast and everyone's always thinking about the next thing. But we got a lot of awesome stuff to lean on and point back to if we can continue to put it out there.
Yeah, I'll do a big data dump for most of my shots are stills, but I do have some video, so I'll just like send it over to you. But going back to the art, I just pulled up the screenshots now. We had Connie Digital on, Victor, creator of Trust Wallet, Duncan from Nifty Gateway back in the day, and then Jamie Burke too from Outlier Ventures. That was on that. That was just like absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, that was it, man. The WIP was the thing back then, and we really didn't have any competition, and I feel like we did a pretty good job of like maximizing our platform given the circumstances. Man, we're just cramming like 4 or 5 legends on stage at a time and being like, you get 5 minutes, you get 5 minutes, you get 5 minutes.
And like each time it was time to transition, it was like, oh my God, another audio problem, another like, why can't we hear them? Hold on, let's try to fill the silence. We weren't doing ourselves any favors. I think there's like 8 speakers for like the largest WIP we had at one point. We were just like going absolutely crazy figuring things out.
There's a few early when we had the TokenSmart podcast going as well. Mm-hmm. There's a few like very early episodes that I think back on, and I haven't re-listened to them, but it's on my list of things to do at some point. Maybe when I'm touching grass sometime, I'll throw it on. And I feel like there were 2 or 3 episodes in a row where we had big guests on the WIP and catastrophic audio failures. And the TokenSmart podcast at that time was like pretty much focused on just talking about the WIP, or at least in these episodes. Yeah. And we had showed up like 2 or 3 weeks in a row, and it was like the second or the third week, and it was just like, oh my God, like how many times are we just going to fail and keep going back to this and just getting kicked and going back to it again and just failing in front of like these big speakers and guests who are like excited to present their project, and then like nobody could hear them and nobody could figure out like what the hell is going on. And I think back to like Elon Catan's like arguably first ever performance art in the metaverse that where everything broke, which maybe that you could say that was part of the performance art in itself, the unintentional catastrophe. But man, stuff like that was on the regular to the extent that it's still a running joke now. And we really haven't had any like catastrophic audio problems or anything like that in quite a long time. And if they do happen, we're like seasoned enough to be able to roll with it and pivot and figure something out. So nothing really like that has happened. But man, early on, just when the WIP was just literally trying to see if we could do this. There were some tough ones.
100%. No, I really think back to like the moment Dragonite saved our asses and was like, I think I have a solution. I think about that very often. Like literally almost every single whip when we're like holding our breaths, like, is there another audio problem? And then someone's like either troubleshooting quickly behind the scenes or like the speaker figures their shit out and they turn it on and say, no. And I'm like, thank you, Dragonite.
Yeah.
I literally every week just think about that moment in time. It was so important, life-saving. I was just so thankful.
Yeah, dude. Dragonate's like low-key backbone of the entire WIP, man. There's no way we would have been able to continue to do this. I mean, just think back where Dragonate was in traveling around Europe a week unauthorized past the WIP, and we were without him for like, what's that?
Escape from the box.
Yeah, man. He escaped from his CryptoVoxels box and just went wild and spent an extra week in Europe. And then we had, dude, I seriously think it was the first WIP without him probably since that day that you're referring to, where he came to us with a solution. And the absence of Dragonate was very apparent. This is like, wow, we really lean on Dragonate for a shitload of stuff that when everything, we got such a tight crew, man. And there's not a lot of communication needed at this point beyond basic stuff. Everyone knows what to do. Everyone knows their role. We, pretty well-oiled WIP machine with the crew we got at this point. And so it's easy to lose track of everything that Dragonate does because he just does it and everything just works. And so, yeah, man, you remove that from the equation and it's like, oh shit, man. Yeah, man, he was our first like real big level up into making it an actual thing.
Yeah, man. But anyway, outside of that, like, damn, like if like so much is happening, it's hard to like pinpoint anything that's popped up. Prediction markets have been like the glaringly obvious thing as of late. But anything else? Any other projects, like parts of crypto, kind of like,
dude,
standing out to you as being interesting? Or
wait till you see what Frankie Needles is gonna talk about at the WIP, man. We talk about people who are authentically doing their own thing and sort of marching to the beat of their own drum. And I won't spoil it for you, man. I don't know that he's posted much about it publicly, but he's working on bridging metaverse and IRL stuff, and probably not at all in the way that you would expect, man. So it's going to be a really fun one to have him on. And again, man, another guy who is under recognized and underappreciated for all the groundbreaking contributions that he made, man, especially over at like DCL. You could probably rattle off a list of firsts that Frankie has under his belt, and is continuing to innovate and do his thing in the way that he wants. And you just gotta love that spirit, which I think is so much of what it was all about early on.
Oh, dude, like you have my interest peaked. Don't tell me though. Seriously, don't tell me.
I'm not gonna tell you. Oh, dude,
it looks fine like that.
Just wait, man. It's so good. Yeah, dude. This is what it's all about, right, man? If it wasn't exciting to us, we wouldn't still be doing it, right? And man, we see like KnownOrigin collapsed since we met last time. Speaking of like, things going down and the world burning around us or whatever. Not that like KnownOrigin was crucial to anything really at this point since they sold to eBay. But we sort of talk about people we came up with, man. Like KnownOrigin, they were in that fam, and I don't have any ill will towards those guys or anything. I haven't spoken to them in a while, but I'm like, shit, dude, that's a legacy project, man. There's not a whole lot of like well put together anythings that exist from that time period outside of us. And Art Blocks. There are a whole bunch of like platforms that are still around, but the number is dwindling, and it's just sort of interesting, man. That was sort of like a reality check in terms of like our longevity. I'm like, damn, dude, we also outlasted KnownOrigin. Like another one bites the dust.
Yeah, no, that was sucks to see. Like again, it was great for the team to have that exit, blah blah blah. But for eBay to do less than nothing with all that history over there, super disappointing, but not surprising to see. Hopefully, again, like when that happens, everyone's again like, oh shit, IPFS. Like we still need to figure out solutions to make sure that the art doesn't disappear forever. Blah blah blah. Like got that conversation going again, but I hate to see that. There's definitely it, and again, like over time, like these things do happen. Yeah. Pour one out for the KO team. Sponsored a few whips back in the day too.
Dude, in a weird way, I feel like it is good to have this catalyst to bring up the IPFS situation again, especially with all the L2s and everything out there, because that really got lost in the shuffle, the metadata conversation over the past couple of years and everything. And that I think it's very important, and a lot of the people who have been around since early on do. But it's good to have that conversation resurface, man. Properly built NFTs and where the metadata is stored, and not that there's one way to properly build one, but it's there's a lot more than what people take at face value. And I'm seeing the same type of stuff pop up on feeds where people are genuinely surprised. The same default assumption that Jim made early on, where like when someone buys an NFT, they assume that they have the whole thing. That's the default assumption, and it's just really not the case, except for in rare situations. So I feel like it's good, man, that conversation has come back up and stuff like that happens. But yeah, man, pour one out for them. Dude, it's cool to see, Super Rare has been around as long as we have, and it's cool to see them continue to tinker and innovate. And I always like that squad, man. And they've taken some flack over the years, and maybe some rightfully so. I don't hold them to any fault, man. We're all sort of like in uncharted territory on the fringe here, so not everyone makes perfect calls every time, but I like that they're continuing to experiment, man. They're messing around with their like rare coin on Warpcast, and I don't know if that's like a great call or like what they're doing with it, but the fact that they're like just still out here tinkering, trying to do different things where a lot of people have either like closed up shop or like sold out or that kind of thing. I'm like, dude, at least they got the vibe, man. They're still trying to like do the thing, and it seemed to be like pretty much making their own calls. I don't see them. I don't know, man. I don't want to speculate on what their back end room or backroom conversations are like, but I appreciate that they're still out here and still trying to do the thing.
Yeah, and I mean we've been here for a while, but Super Rare, that crew has been here April 2018. Like they've been doing their thing for a long time. And yeah, some obviously bright moments, some missteps there, but they're a sharp team. They and like you said, they keep forging ahead, trying new things, seeing what works, seeing what doesn't, iterating from there. Again, with a project that everyone knows as well as Super Rare, you're never going to satisfy and appease everyone. There's always going to be critics out there talking shit, blah, 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 but that's a solid team, and they've always been in the corner of the artists. And just hopefully they'll be around for a while longer, doing their thing, and waiting for that full circle moment where they're back on top.
Yeah, man. I feel like I think the thing I like about them is that they've really like stuck to their guns, and I know like they've sort of done. They were only one of ones in the beginning, and they're still sort of like that. But there's some ways to like sort of get around it and everything, and that's fine, man. But you do get they've had a tough battle, man. They've really stuck to the crypto art battle, where like a lot of marketplaces that started heavily on art started deviating and adding different collections to sort of appeal to more people, and they believed in crypto art early on and have really like stuck with that narrative that this is a thing, that this is important. And Nifty Gateway has done that too, man. They haven't really deviated from shining the light specifically on artists, and that's not, man. There's a lot of times where I feel like the sentiment was in the gutter, and it would have been very easy for anyone who wasn't like, didn't 100% believe that this is the thing, to go a different direction or pivot or whatever. And so they took the hard road in a lot of ways when a lot of people didn't believe it was a thing early on, and then people did, and then people didn't again, and they never really wavered on the "this is a thing" mantra, and you gotta love that.
Yeah, and again, it goes back to like what people are focusing on, and when it comes to art and artists, like this is one of those like evergreen fountain of youth kind of spheres to focus on. No matter what you do, like if you're able to interact and speak with artists, experience and be able to collect their art and their work, and it's a blessing just to be able to be part of that. I always have to remind myself about that personally, but it's
dude,
again,
I really, yeah, man, and dude, I saw who was it? Patrick Amadon posted something about like during the KnownOrigin collapse about how this was never about the platforms, self-sovereignty, et cetera, which I completely agree with. I do think platforms serve a purpose, and it can certainly play a positive role in shining the light on creators that might not, have otherwise been able to get their name out there, et cetera, et cetera. But man, I really wish, why don't we have like a manifold marketplace, man? Like, why isn't someone like slapped together some sort of thing that aggregates all of the self-sovereign contracts out there? And I feel like that's part of the problem, man, in sort of like coalescing the space, is that, we preach self-sovereignty. We have the tools out there to establish self-sovereignty. But the problem with it is that you can't fucking find anything anywhere, because everyone, if you go that route, you've sort of created your own island for yourself. And then you're responsible for, showing off your island and everything. And then you get back to the platform debate where like, shit, no one can see my island because it's so small. And so I'm like, why isn't there some sort of aggregator, man? Like where, we can, find and appreciate the people who are branching out on their own, and, some sort of decentralized platform type of thing to just fucking find people, man. Because I would like to, in general, that's my ethos. And I prefer to support people who are on their own custom contract and are putting their things on the blockchain. And I don't always stick to that. I buy random shit too because I like it, or to support people or whatever. But I'm like, man, the self-sovereign mantra is great, but it's so fractionalizing by nature that we need something to string it together.
Yeah, my hot take is that's OpenSea. It's always been OpenSea.
Can you search for manifold contracts specifically though on OpenSea?
No. Just like everyone, like all in one place. But again, like artists need to do the extra work to bring all their manifold minted stuff together with their super minted and whatever external contract minted work. It's a slog. Not everyone does it. Not everyone keeps up with it. Blah blah blah. Another kind of cul-de-sac of shortcomings. But again, another rub though is that's where curation comes in. Like sites, teams like Ninfa has popped up on my radar as being pretty good at bringing together a really great mix of artists and all of their work, whether it's minted on through their sovereign artist.
What is this?
Minting smart contract or elsewhere. Like, but again, like that's not everyone. It's going to be through their curatorial lens of looking for specific artists to get to that point. Ninfa.
Ninfa?
NINFA. I think Ninfa.io.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I'll check it out. Curation definitely, man. It just feels like we should have some sort of like decentral, like, again, man, getting back to like the self-sovereign thing, man. Like if that's the thing that we preach in general as a space, and that's the thing that we want to encourage, and that's like the path forward. Like, agree, man, OpenSea is like essentially the default aggregator of everything, but I'm like, dude, we should be able to seek out like people who have done the work to spin up their own contracts, so that, you know, there's another nuance, at least in my head, as a collector, as a person who like purchases things. I'm like, you know, that feels better to me, you know, than going through a platform. And I feel like a lot of people think twice about it too, man. Now that KnownOrigin has collapsed, it's like, well, what happens with all this shit? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's all unknown. And so now when you're buying off another platform, do people start to pause and think like, you know, this NFT is only as good as the longevity of this platform? People probably should be. And we should like have a way to get away from that, should people want to, you know?
Yeah, no, I'm seeing more thoughtful discussions on this, and the awareness of potential impermanence of assets, metadata, blah blah blah. More and more people are realizing it, and again, it's all going back to how on chain is it, and the artists and the projects and art that are like 100% on chain, like that's, again, like Pindar von Arman, like the reflections, the bike ends of theirs. It's like, in my mind, I'm like, everything else can whatever burn down, and if I have these, it's like it's okay. Like, I know I'll have those. Like, there's zero worry there, and it just, that's part of the craft too and process of artists to consider those variables as well in the process of everything. And very few artists are at that point yet, but we're going there. We're getting there, and we'll always have to remind ourselves that super early, and then in the same breath, keep thinking about ways to continue to safeguard all the historical stuff that has been created in these early days, so that hopefully, like, a large percentage of everything will be viewable, and just you can find it in the distant future.
Yeah. Dude, it feels like the cycle is starting to repeat, and we're like, you know, here we go through a whole nother round of like essentially consumer education about like NFT basics. Where's your metadata stored? And you know, again, good conversations to be having. Dude, shout out Art Gnome. He keeps popping up in my head. I'm like, you know, dude saw this coming ahead of time, just like a lot of us did, but there wasn't an immediate, at least for me personally, like, he was out in front. That I think a lot of people took a look at their NFTs. Art Gnome, for anyone listening, essentially backs up people's NFTs who are stored on IPFS to you know, prevent situations like, you know, KnownOrigin collapsing and everything potentially disappearing. Not saying that that's going to happen, but that is the thing that everyone knew could happen at some point, and we really didn't have like a big case to point at where we're like, oh shit, now your collection's at risk. And Art Gnome started doing this years ago now, and now we're seeing, you know, his vision of this type of shit happening come to fruition. And so good on him, man. Another one with tremendous foresight from early on.
No, 100%. But anyway, banger of a whip tomorrow. Back up your NFTs. Do historic shit. Boom, there we go.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Yeah, dude, stoked. We have a few awesome ones coming up to round out the summer. So yeah, man, it's fun, man. It's always a good time. It wouldn't be the whip if it wasn't. So really looking forward to having Joy on tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, man. I'll get you those files as soon as you send them to me. And anyway, see you in the metaverse tomorrow, dude.
Sick. All right, man. See you later.
Peace. All right. Later, Drago. Later, Drago Nate's mom. See y'all tomorrow.